Welcome back to the Metal Voice. The Chief, Chuck Billy from Testament, of course. New album, Parabellum. Wow. We're going to talk about that today. It's going to come out on October the 10th, correct?
That's right.
And it's on Nuclear Blast. This is the 14th studio album by Testament. 14!
Yeah. Can't believe it.
Who would have thought you guys are getting better over the years, right? Typically bands are winding down, but it seems like you guys, oh my God. I got to tell you, like my initial thoughts just to kick things off, this is like the legacy on steroids.
Yeah. The song and the name of the album, I guess two different things, I guess Parabellum, just prepare for war, is such a current thing that's going on in the whole world. And it would seem to be more appropriate for this record, especially with the artwork. I let Eric work on the art, and we had a different title, and it really didn't fit. So when Parabellum was written and what it meant, what it stood for, it was just perfect for the fit for the album cover.
But
it's definitely a theme of war throughout a lot of the songs.
Well, all right, so tell me about what you did different this time on this studio album than the last one right here. Titans of Creation.
I don't think different. I think what we learned from Titans, we applied it to this one, because on Brotherhood of the Snake, the album before, that took like over 2 years to write.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem is that I used to always challenge the riff. Every time Eric would give me the riff, I would always say, well, maybe I hear that as a verse, or I hear that as the chorus, and so it took a longer process to put the songs together. Where during Titans of Creation, I knew that, man, I didn't want to go through a 2-year writing process. It was brutal. So I just said, Eric, just write the songs, just give me the riffs, and I'll just have at it and do my best. And it actually challenged me and made me push myself to an uncomfortable zone. But it actually, at the end result, was like, wow, the songs came out really good. So going into this record, I thought, instead of going back to the old way, let's just keep it the same. Let's just, you and Chris, and they were jamming a lot. So I said, just collect as much riffs, keep jamming, and just give it to me. And even some of the riffs they wrote, I at first said, wow, that doesn't really sound like a metal riff. Or I don't know, is that going to be on the New Testament record? It didn't really feel and appeal to me. But in the end, once all the songs are written, it just came such a diverse collection of music, riffs, and lyrics, where it just makes the record really flow and just has a nice, a record that you can listen start to finish, and just as it sound and feel the same.
It's like a collection of your musical journeys throughout your whole catalog. That's what I find. I put on the catalog yesterday. I was going through it quickly to see if it resembles anything, right? And it's got a little piece from every sort of era. Is that correct?
It is, but I've actually used 4 different textures of voices on this, which again, it was another challenge, because I approached each song individually, and first I would try to sing heavy and death. That's not working. A little harder edge, that's not working. So some of the songs like Nature of the Beast or Route 117, where I pull back that harder voice and I just kind of tone it back a little bit. And at first when I tracked it, it almost felt like, wow, is this maybe not finished, or maybe this is the first run? But after a while, it's just like, what, that's just how it has to be. And it's just, and it for me, it felt good that I was actually, after 40 years writing music with Eric, I'm still being challenged and still finding new ways to try to get creative,
I dare say this. I think this might be one of Testament's best albums, one of the best albums you guys made. It's hard to tell. You need a few years to truly, absorb it. But right off the bat,
I think the key of it was Chris Dovas, I think, because he's 27 years old.
Wow.
He grew up with a different genre of metal than we did. He's more into this newer breed of metal, and he loves speed, thrash, death. So I think he brought a little bit of that to the project and actually put the foot on the gas for Eric just to kind of go nuts, and the final product was like, wow, all the songs just seem like he's got his foot on the gas pedal and just souped them up,
Oh, big time. I don't know how many beats per minute that he's playing. This might be the fastest I've heard it on at least.
And the opening track, that one just comes out and smashes you in the face. Like black metal, thrash metal. It just got a little everything out of the gate, you know.
Let's go through the songs and just a little bit on each song so people could get a better understanding of what this album, you know, how it was written, or maybe some themes, or maybe just a sense of what it would sound like by describing it. For the Love of Pain, you just mentioned it. It's the opener. It's the burner, death metal vocals, but speed metal as well, right?
And then, of course, Eric added his black metal vocals in there. Now, that was one of the last songs that we wrote. And actually, Chris Dovas wrote the lyrics to that.
Wow.
New drummer. First time a new member has ever wrote lyrics for the band. And it's funny because he just had some time on his hands one weekend and decided to write it and actually demo it up and sing it and sent it to us, you know, just for fun. And we're like, cool, right on, dude. You know, he's so into it. And I actually went and wrote the song with Steve Souza. And when I got into the studio, it just didn't feel right. So at that point, I said, hey, let's put up Chris's demo. Let's have a listen to that. Pull up his lyrics and let's have a listen. So after we listened, I said, you know what? Let me have a shot at that and let me just put my 2 cents on it. And that's what I did. I recorded it, gave it to Eric, and then Eric took it one step further. And in the little fast guitar black metal section, Eric decided to sing on that, which is right up his black metal vocal alley. So it was kind of cool that, again, now me and Eric are sharing lead vocal lines on a song again, which works really well. And I know, talking to a lot of people, their first impression when they heard the record in the first song, it's like, wait a minute, is this New Testament? Did someone send me the wrong record? You know? But in the end, you know, it sets the pace, come a couple quick, fast songs, and then we hit them with Meant to Be, which is an odd number, 4th on the track list. To me, that should have been a song that might have been the B side of an LP or something, you know.
But
so yeah,
but tell me about the lyrics for the Love of Pain. In one line, it says, "For the illusion of control."
Yeah, well, Chris wrote it, and Chris's wife, she works in, I guess, in the hospital, but with law enforcement. Well, like when people are, you know, she has to see if they're criminally insane.
Wow.
And him and her came up with the idea for the Love of Pain just through her work and what she does. And so I had nothing to do with the writing. So Chris and his girlfriend actually wrote it, or his wife actually helped him put it together, you know. And then Eric, of course, adding his part of it in there. But it was one of those last songs. It was one of the harder ones for me to kind of put together. So I was kind of glad that Eric and Chris stepped up and actually completed it and make it like kick ass, you know.
Did Zetro contribute anything else on this album?
Yeah, we wrote 3 songs, but only one of them made it. The other 2
okay.
I wrote, but I ended up rewriting it.
So that was the big surprise. Zetro was, I think he made a post. It was you and him, or you did a post with, I guess that was the collaboration.
It was like the next day that he got, it might have been that day or the next day that he got the news that he was out of Exodus. So I said, okay, because me and Zet been writing for a long time, and I had to write lyrics. I said, Zet, I know you're not busy now, so I'm coming over. I got some lyrics to write, you know? So, yeah.
All right. We all know Infanticide AI, right? That's released as a single. Shadow People, which I love. I thought it was, wow, this is like the prog-thrash of Testament. Tell me how that song came about.
That was a really great riff Eric came up with. And it's actually, I've always tried to keep myself not following the bouncing ball and try to find my own spot within the music, you know. But that song, there was no way to get around without ruining the riff. So I wanted to really stick it to the riff. So I just sing exactly to Eric's right picking hand. And, you know, Shadow People, I see in a program about, it's kind of like a scarier, darker Enter Sandman, if you will. It's like everybody, you hear people have nightmares in your dark room in bed when you wake up and you think you're seeing shadows in the room. And also I kind of connected it with, because also when alien abductions, they've also connected to Shadow People and alien abductions. And they say the common theme in some of the alien abductions that have been reported is that they see one guy in charge and he wears this black fedora hat. It's the man in the black hat. So, and then there's other shadow figures. So I thought, okay, this is cool. I'm really into the alien, you know, connection, but also the dream spookiness of being so scared you can't scream or shout and you're just trapped in your bed, you know. So I thought it was a cool topic, but it fit perfect with the way and heavy that riff is, you know.
Oh man, what a great song! So thrashy, so proggy. There's like tempo changes, there's arrangement changes. It's got a little bit of everything. I love it. Meant to be. Okay, now this is the big one, right? This is the ballad, the big ballad song, Chuck, with the
Yeah.
orchestration on top of it, right? I mean, how did that
Yes.
come about?
Well, you know, that was a song. First of all, Eric was the first time Eric actually went to New York to work with Alex. And he came back with some music, and I said, "Hey, man, how'd it go?" It's like, "Went great. You know, me and Alex were working on some stuff. Well, let me hear it. Let me hear what you got." He goes, "Well, not yet, but we're working on a piece." And all he said is, "It's going to be epic." And I said, "Well, that's a pretty strong word." So that's setting the bar pretty high to use the word epic. But it was when I finally got the song and the arrangements and stuff, it was pretty epic. It reminded me like Return to Serenity. It just had that classic Testament guitar feel at the beginning, but then pushing it a little bit more, you know. At first I was a little nervous because it's like an 8-minute song. I'm like, holy shit, there's going to be a lot of words on this song. And, but in the end, you know, I found my place where I needed to sing. And it was a really emotional song. And I really wanted to set it up and have the listener interpret it maybe like it's a love song between two people, but in reality it's actually a love song between humanity and the planet Earth. So if you
Okay.
go back and you listen to it, you'll hear my little references about what we're doing to our planet. But after everything that's said and done, what we do to this planet, mankind is going to still continue and evolve, and we're meant to be here. So that's kind of where I took that song, you know. And I was originally going to have a female vocalist sing with me on the choruses. But that didn't happen. We didn't find the right one. So Eric just said, just you sing it. And let's just leave it at that. Maybe down the road, we could revisit it and maybe do a re-release with a girl singing or do something
Yeah,
live,
great
you know?
idea. That could have been off the Black album by Metallica. That's
Exactly. And then also Alex came in and when we were listening to it, like, you know what? We've never used strings and everything. And we first talked orchestration, string quartet, and then Eric got a hold of David Eggers, and David's done some big projects, and he came in without even having any direction and just nailed it. The way he
yeah.
bends his notes and flows within what we're doing, it's perfect.
I could see that as a next single. I mean, it's a practice what you preach, sort of the ballad on that. It's got that vibe, right? The acoustic guitars. Congratulations on that. I think it's a wonderful orchestration. I'm just
Thank
trying
you.
to give people a sort of a reference point. Then you get into High Noon, right? That to me is like the gathering. That's another another sort of opening track, or you could open up a show with High Noon. Tell me
Yeah.
about that quickly.
And that's another one that we actually wrote, me and Zet, and I didn't work in the studio. And I just had this in my head, something about a gunslinger. I had this line, you know, the life that a gunslinger lives, and it just fit in the riff. And that one line, I'm like, okay, now I have this visual of this western and a gunslinger walking the streets and sitting in a saloon drinking whiskey and just being challenged, and challengers keep coming through those swinging doors all day long, and he's just drunk drinking, defending his title. And so I had this visual. So I go, you know what? Hold on. Let me go home and I'm going to rewrite this thing. And at first, when I told Eric and everybody about the gunslinger, they're like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to work. That's not very metal. But it worked and it made sense and it felt like it was the right fit. And it grew on everybody after that. Like, you know, that's one of my favorites. So it's just weird the way that everything just kind of came together, you know?
Death metal, speed metal. It's that burner, right? It's that
Yeah.
burner song, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great song. The Witch Hunt, and it's not Rush Witch Hunt. It's Testament Witch Hunt. Again,
Yeah.
Formation of Damnation. Tell me about that. That's another. It looks maybe a low era, demonic era. I don't know, somewhere there.
Yeah. And actually, me and Zet wrote that song. This
Okay,
is one that songs that me and Zet wrote that made it. Um, it was, you know, Eric has working titles when he has riffs, and that one had the working title of Swish Hunt. So instead of me and Zet just trying to figure out what we're going to do in another topic, we said, you know, let's just play off Witch Hunt, but let's take it as literally a witch hunt with witches and burning them at the stake and stuff, but also let's use the witch hunt like a political witch hunt,
Hmm.
you know? So we kind of tied the both of them together and made them both together. And it worked really well because you can interpret it either way by listening to the lyric.
Yeah.
But it was one of those that were just like fast and furious, you know, and Witch Hunt was very appropriate for how brutal that one was.
You and Zetro are really close, I imagine, right? Over the years, just super close.
He got me into the band, you know,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
he's best friends with my younger brother, and we
To
go
this,
back.
I guess I meant to this day, you're still friends. You
Oh
know?
yeah, oh yeah.
It's amazing.
When we toured with Exodus, me and him were the ones who were on the 5 mile walks every morning, and you know, and we write really well together. We sit down and we don't mess around. We get to work and we write songs, like complete them. So I know when it's time to work and write, Zet and Dell are my guys that I go to, and I know I'm going to get it done pretty quick. And you know, I don't know if maybe over the years I've gotten a little more confident in my own writing myself, but I like bouncing the ideas off somebody, and I like having somebody else's opinion because then it opens my mind to make it. Oh, well, wait a minute, let me play off of that. So I like that way to work with somebody.
Okay. Nature of the beast. I mean, I was surprised when I listened to the words. It's more on gambling, right? That's the
This
nature
one's
of the
on
beast.
gambling, but to me it reminded me like the opening riff. It's almost like a British new wave of heavy metal or a kind of a Motorhead maybe
Hmm.
opening in it. So right away you think Motorhead, I'm thinking gambling, rock and roll, drinking, you know,
Ace of
Vegas,
spades. Ace of
Ace of
spades.
Spades. I used the reference in there, the city of sin, and so right away it just kind of meant that okay, it's more of a rock song. This isn't like a dark image song. It's can't doesn't have to be really dark. So this is fun. This is gambling. This is maybe somebody who has a gambling problem and can't seem to overcome it, and he's stuck in a city of sin where it's all coming at him from all directions, you know. But that's just the nature of the beast, you know.
That's
And
right. That's
I actually came up with that line, and that's kind of what I built it around. Was the nature of the beast, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, a dark roots of earth sort of vibe to it, I would
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah.
And here's the big one for me. This might be my favorite song in the album. It's Room 117.
That one's pretty deep. Now that's I wrote that. Well, Del James is the guy I've been writing with for I don't know 25, 30 years now, and his mom was ill and she's in the hospital, and he'd spent weeks there, and I got a text from him saying, "Hey man, I've been spending time in the hospital, a lot of time. I wrote these words. He didn't say lyrics or a poem, or he just wrote some stuff to send me. He goes, hey, if you could use any of it, go for it. You know, whatever you want to use." So I took it, and of course, his mom passed in the hospital in room 117. So instead of using that lighter reference, I kind of took it as it's one of those rooms that you don't want to go to. You don't want to get to that room because you're never going to get out of 117. It's one of those rooms in the hospital where you're admitted and you're not going to make it back out alive. So that song was really is close to me and has a really deep meaning for me and Dell. And it's once I completed it and I sent it back to him after I tracked it, he was like, "Wow, man, you just took that totally to the finish line. Thank you."
It's got a great theme. It's very dark. You can't escape Room 117. I love it. It's kind of Big
Yeah,
Brother-ish, from 1984. You can't escape the room. There's so many meanings behind it. You could look at it so many ways. It's got a nice groove. The guitar work. And I got to say one thing about this album. The guitar work between Alex and Eric, it just seems so symbiotic in a way. They're just the solos and the rhythm playing. It works well on so many levels.
it is. And I think for Alex's part, I think this is one of Alex's best records, solo or lead wise. He just really laid down some
Yeah.
really good, tasty stuff on this, you know, and same as Eric. Eric's playing a lot more leads on this record and all the records, but together sometimes I'm like, wait, who is that, Eric or Alex? You know, it's I can't tell, but they did a great job as far as soloing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, great drums, great guitar work, great vocals, very diverse. And then you have the Havana syndrome. I don't know what that's about. I guess it's something to do with Havana. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you Google it after we hang up, you'll really read the story. But in the 70s in Havana, Cuba, our American consulate was being attacked with a silent weapon. Now, this was like a silent sonic sound wave they were using, targeting our American embassy. And a lot of the people in the American embassy ended up coming home, and they were experiencing ringings of the ears, nauseousness, sometimes going blind, death, constant headaches, and they didn't know what the hell was going on. But it was a sonic silent wave that they were being attacked with. And I thought it was a really interesting story because the theme of the record was kind of war. But here's another thing: it's a silent weapon, And it's funny. I seen about 3 weeks ago. I was watching a program on TV about the cargo ships that are being attacked and aborted by pirates out at sea. And I always watch them on the internet. They're using guns shooting them. Well, they just broke out this silent weapon again, and now they're using that for the pirate ships. So when they get close, they hit them with the sonic boom, and they're throwing up and they're losing their vision, and they just can't. They're just got to get away as fast as they can. So it's just kind of weird, something to come back after like 60 years, or 50, 60 years, and now wow, here it's surfacing again.
Yeah, the guitar gallop, or sort of like the maiden. It's got a maidenist guitar work, rhythm guitar work. If you listen to it carefully, is this a maiden song? But then when you start singing, it's not a maiden song. But there are some similarities there.
It is, and it's weird vocally. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward song, and I just put one little hooky line in there. What the hell is going on? Just that little vocal, just that one line changed it, made it like, whoa, this is kind of cool and catchy. That's a cool little hook there. And it's just, when I first found that line, that kind of what I built the rest of the melody around, and it just worked really well.
Oh yeah. And then the last track, Parabellum, prepare for war, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Uprising.
Yeah. Well, me and Alex wrote that. Me and Alex wrote the lyrics to that.
Okay.
And we were inspired by the January 6th insurrection. And we used that as our inspiration, but I also kind of used it as like a theme of war, being them storming the gates, and almost two enemies, them inside locking themselves in to protect themselves, and the other ones storming the gate. And so we kind of used that, and I had the line and the title Parabellum. So I said, okay, prepare for war, but it's Civis Pacem Parabellum, which is, if you want peace, prepare for war. That's the complete phrase of it. And so it was kind of easy to write, and I knew Alex was the right person when it comes to that kind of little political stance and stuff. So when we wrote it, it just kind of wrote itself, and once we had the inspiration where to go with it. And it's kind of unusual that the title track is the last song on the record. It's kind of odd that it made its way to the end, but the way the record ends with that really clean classical guitar piece, it just really lays it out after everything you just heard. Just there it is. It's pretty cool the way it ends.
I think brilliant lyrics are when the listener listens to the song and can relate, and he could be on either sides of the political spectrum, right?
Yes.
That's a brilliant songwriter. And I think you guys actually managed to be general enough, but specific enough where both sides can, the insurrection guys could say, yeah, I feel it. And the other side could say, yeah, what are these guys doing? So I think you've done a great job. Some great themes there.
Yeah. And I think, I've writing about things that are real, that affect our lives. I don't know. I sing them better. I can remember the words better when I'm writing like the legacy stuff, where it's just kind of fantasy stories about, kind of maybe cliche metal lyrics.
Yeah.
You can only do that. So take that to a certain point, and when they don't have meaning lyrically, I don't know, it better be a really good riff and a really good vocal melody to carry you. Yeah. If the lyrics don't have any depth or meaning to them.
When does your tour start, or is it
it starts next Sunday?
Is it Europe or US? I don't remember.
Europe. We're going over with Obituary, Destruction, and Nervosa starting. It's called
Oh,
Clash Thrash of the Titans.
That's why I keep getting Crash of the Titans,
Yeah, it's Thrash of the Titans.
and
But
Titans of Creation. I keep mixing them up.
yeah, so we play Thursday at Aftershock in
Okay.
Sacramento, the festival, and then Friday we fly to Europe, land Saturday, start the tour Sunday.
You're coming back for the U.S. as well, I would assume.
Yeah, so we're trying to line something early 2026. You know, we're seeing so far the response has been great on the record. So the agent's just hustling, trying to put some stuff together. I think our goal is to spread out the touring, because usually we just get maybe one American tour per record cycle, and I don't think that's enough, you know. So I really want to split it up and see if I can cover more ground and come back to same places in one record cycle.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we'll see.
Last tour in Canada with Exodus and Death Angel was incredible.
That was a great tour. That one, there's still requests for that, but it's like, man, we did 2 years of that already, you know. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, you know, even Zetro, he's a free agent now. Maybe he can come on and do his legacy, you know, era. I don't know. I'm just tossing it out there. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, because he actually had a tour in South America where he's doing Testament, well, legacy stuff and Exodus stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see how that goes.
Is there anything you want to tell the fans?
Well, just that, you know, I'm just excited for people to hear it. You know, it's one of them things where you're always trying to outdo yourself every record, and somehow we did it again. And the downside is when are we going to write a shitty record? We're due to write a shitty record. It's coming up. So, but this one isn't it yet. So I'm just happy and looking forward to the fans to listen to it, check out, because to me, this record sounds current. It sounds modern. It doesn't sound like a band that's been 40 years around, rehashing the same riffs, going through the same motion, taking the easy route out. We're still being challenged. We're still getting creative after 40 years of making music, which is awesome. If we didn't tour anymore, I would just be happy creating this new music, you know.
I'll leave everybody with this. The album is such a pleasure to listen to because it's so diverse. And you could put it on and listen to it from start to finish because it's so diverse. Whereas other albums, if it's always thrash, death metal on every track, you get kind of tired halfway through. This one, you don't get tired. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree, because there's just so much a variety of riffs.
Yes.
And stuff. Sometimes you might go, well, that's not just Fast and Furious. Wow, that's got some groove.
That's right.
Or whoa, what that riff? What is that? You know, I was even the same way listening it for the first time. So for us to finally complete it, put it all together, it's like, wow, man, good job, Eric. Good job, Chris. I give them props because they worked very hard.
Yeah, Chris Dovas, the new drummer for Testament, he took it to another level and helped you guys get it to another level. Congratulations. Everybody go pick up Parabellum. It's going to be released October the 10th on Nuclear Blast Records. Chuck, all the best to you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jimmy. We'll see you when we get up there to Canada.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right, man. Have a good one. Bye.